The Galactic Council chamber stretched 3 kilometers across, a masterpiece of crystalline architecture that floated in the void between dimensions. 17 species sat in their designated sectors, their forms ranging from the ethereal luminari who existed as pure energy to the massive rock-like chronar, who communicated through seismic vibrations. Ambassador Chun Wei stood alone at the center, a single human surrounded by beings who had conquered stars before Earth had even cooled. Her dark suit seemed absurdly plain against the bioluminescent robes and quantum armor of the other delegates. The answer is no. High Arbiter Zell then's voice resonated through the chamber, translated instantly into 1,000 languages. The tall, insectoid being clicked its mandibles in what Chun had learned was contempt. Humanity has applied for Galactic Council membership 17 times over the past decade. Each time you have been rejected. Chun kept her expression neutral, though her heart pounded. May I ask why? A ripple of what might have been laughter moved through the assembled delegates. Counselor Vraxis of the Hegemony Corps leaned forward, his 3 eyes gleaming with something between pity and disgust. The reptilian being's scales shimmered as he spoke. Because you are dangerous primitives, Vraxis said simply. Your species discovered faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. You still wage wars on your home planet. Your technology is laughable: chemical rockets, nuclear fission, computers that process in binary. You have nothing to offer this council except chaos. We have survived, Chun said quietly. We have adapted. We have grown. You are children, Zell then interrupted. Violent children playing with matches. The galaxy has seen species like yours before. They either destroy themselves or must be contained. We will not allow Earth to join the Council until you prove you can exist peacefully within galactic civilization. Chun felt the weight of 1 billion humans watching through the quantum feed. She knew what came next. She had hoped it wouldn't, but she had prepared nonetheless. And how long must we wait? She asked. Zelven's mandibles clicked again. The evaluation period has been extended. Another century, perhaps. Or 2. When your species shows maturity, you may reapply. 200 years. Chun let the words hang in the air. 200 years of isolation while every other species in the galaxy trades, shares technology, forms alliances. 200 years while humanity is kept in a cage. It is for everyone's safety, said a delegate from the collective minds. A being that existed as a hive consciousness spread across 12 bodies. Your aggression scores are off the scale. Your capacity for violence is unmatched. Even your entertainment glorifies war. Our entertainment also glorifies hope, Chin said. Redemption, sacrifice, growth. Things that apparently this council doesn't believe in. The decision is final, Zelven declared. Earth will remain under quarantine protocols. No faster-than-light travel beyond your home system. No trade with galactic markets. No access to council technology or protection. Humanity will remain contained until you learn your place. Chun looked around the chamber one final time. She saw it in their eyes, all of them. The luminaries' flickering disdain. The Chronar's seismic disapproval. The Hegemony's casual cruelty. They didn't just reject humanity. They dismissed them. Primitives. Children. Animals in a zoo to be observed and controlled. Then we understand each other perfectly, Chun said softly. She tapped a command on her wrist device. You have made your position clear. Allow me to make ours equally clear. She turned to leave, but paused at the chamber's threshold. When she looked back, her expression had changed. The diplomatic mask was gone. What replaced it made several delegates shift uncomfortably. You call us violent, dangerous, primitive. You're right about one thing: we are dangerous. But not because we're primitive. We're dangerous because we don't quit. We don't accept limits. And we don't need your permission. You will obey council law, Zelven said. But there was something new in his voice. Uncertainty. Or what? Chin asked. You'll quarantine us harder? You've already isolated us. You've already shown us that this galaxy operates on power, not justice. Thank you for the lesson. Humanity is a quick study. She walked out without another word, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Above Earth, monitoring the transmission, Fleet Admiral Marcus Stone closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He opened a secure channel to humanity's secret shipyards hidden in the Kuiper Belt, where projects that officially didn't exist were nearing completion. She gave the signal, he said quietly. Activate Protocol Prometheus. We do this ourselves now. In the darkness beyond Neptune, 300 warships that shouldn't exist powered up their engines. The galaxy had closed its doors on humanity. It was time to build their own doors. 6 months after the rejection, the Galactic Council's monitoring station at the edge of Earth's solar system detected something impossible. Commander HFY Rix of the Council Security Force stared at his displays in confusion. The four-armed, amphibious being's skin changed from calm blue to agitated purple as data poured across his screens. "This cannot be correct," he muttered, running the scans again. His junior officer, a young luminary named Keslin, flickered beside him with concern. "Sir, the readings are consistent across all sensor platforms. The human system shows energy signatures that shouldn't exist given their technology level." HFY Rix pulled up the historical records. According to every assessment, humanity's industrial capacity was limited to their inner planets. Their military consisted of primitive spacecraft using chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons. Their power generation was barely efficient enough to support their growing space stations. The sensors told a different story. "These energy outputs," HFY Rix's voice trailed off. "This is fusion reactor activity. Advanced fusion. And these quantum fluctuations, Keslin, this reads like jump drive testing." "That's impossible, sir. Humans don't have jump drive technology. The Council specifically denied them access to those blueprints." "Then explain this data." Before Keslin could respond, an alarm shrieked across the station. New contacts had appeared on the edge of the system, emerging from the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. Ships, dozens of them. No, hundreds of them. HFY Rix felt his skin turn white with shock. These weren't the clumsy orbital fighters humanity had showed off during their Council application. These were sleek, dangerous-looking vessels that moved with purpose and coordination. They were painted in dark colors that seemed to absorb sensor sweeps, and their energy signatures were disturbing. "Get me the High Arbiter," HFY Rix said, his voice barely steady. Immediately. The communication took 15 minutes to establish through quantum channels. When Zelden's hologram appeared, the High Arbiter seemed irritated at the interruption. "This had better be worth violating my meditation period, Commander." "Sir, the humans have a fleet." Zelden's mandibles stopped moving. "Explain." 347 vessels, sir. They emerged from hidden positions throughout their outer system. The designs are completely unknown, not based on any Council technology we've provided or that they should have been able to reverse engineer. "Perhaps they found an ancient cache," Zell then said, though he sounded uncertain. "Or they've been building in secret. Either way, 300 ships pose no threat to the Council's might. We have millions of vessels across thousands of systems. Sir, you don't understand. These ships, their power signatures are unlike anything in our databases. And they're moving in formations that suggest advanced tactical doctrine. Military discipline that shouldn't be possible for a species that's never fought an interstellar war." On the hologram, Zell then leaned forward. "Where are they heading?" "That's just it, sir. They're not heading anywhere. They're deploying throughout the system in defensive positions. Like they're expecting something. Keep monitoring them. If they attempt to leave their system, you are authorized to use force to turn them back. Council law is clear. Humanity is quarantined until they prove themselves worthy." The transmission ended. HFY Rix looked at his junior officer, whose energy form was flickering with anxiety. "Keslin, pull up everything we know about human history, specifically their military conflicts." For the next hour, HFY Rix read with growing unease. Humanity's recorded history was filled with warfare, thousands of years of it. They had fought with sticks and stones, then bronze and iron, then gunpowder and tanks, then aircraft and missiles, then orbital weapons and drone swarms. Every generation had refined the art of combat. But it was more than that. Humans didn't just fight, they innovated during warfare. They adapted. They learned from defeat and came back stronger. They turned desperate situations into victories through sheer stubbornness and creativity. "Sir," Kesslin interrupted his reading, "one of the human ships is hailing us. Put it through." A hologram materialized, showing a human woman in a crisp military uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her eyes were sharp with intelligence. The nameplate on her uniform read, "Admiral Stone. Council Monitoring Station, this is Fleet Admiral Marcus Stone of the United Earth Space Force. We're broadcasting this message on all frequencies to ensure there's no misunderstanding. You are in violation of Council quarantine protocols." Rix began, but Stone continued as if he hadn't spoken. "As of today, humanity formally declares independence from Galactic Council authority. We reject your jurisdiction over our affairs. We will defend our sovereignty and our right to travel freely through space. Any attempt to enforce your illegal blockade will be met with appropriate force. You cannot. We can and we are. Stone out." The transmission ended, leaving Rix staring at empty air. Behind Earth's moon, in the hidden shipyards that had been built in absolute secrecy, more ships were launching every hour. The response came swiftly. The Galactic Council, and used to defiance, dispatched the hegemony's third enforcement fleet to remind humanity of its place. Counselor Vraxis himself accompanied the fleet, confident that a show of overwhelming force would break human resistance quickly. His flagship, the Eternal Dominion, was a behemoth 3 kilometers long, bristling with plasma cannons and protected by energy shields that could withstand a supernova. Around it sailed 200 warships of various classes, representing the military might that had kept order in the galaxy for 10,000 years. "Take positions at Jupiter's orbit," Vraxis ordered. "Let the humans see what they face. They will surrender once they understand the futility of resistance." But as the hegemony fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel, they found themselves facing something unexpected. The human fleet was already there, waiting. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable, watching the hegemony vessels appear like schools of glittering fish. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. No panic, no fear, just focused professionalism. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his tactical officer reported. "Weapons hot." "Yes, sir." "Mass drivers charged. Missile tubes loaded. Point defense active. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Stone nodded. Nearby, Ambassador Chunwei watched the displays with barely controlled tension. She had traded her diplomatic attire for a military observer's uniform, insisting on being present for what came next. "They outnumber us 2-1, she said quietly. "They do," Stone agreed. "But they've never fought humans before." A transmission came through from Vraxis's flagship. The reptilian counselor appeared on the main screen, his scales gleaming with confidence. "Human vessels, you are ordered to stand down immediately and accept boarding parties. Your illegal fleet will be confiscated, and your leaders will face council justice for violating quarantine protocols." Stone stepped forward, his hands clasped behind his back. "Counselor Vraxis, you are trespassing in Earth's sovereign space. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave our system. This is your only warning." Vraxis's laugh was like rocks grinding together. "You have chemical rockets and primitive computers. We have mastered the stars for millennia. You cannot possibly believe you can resist the hegemony's might." 20 seconds, Stone said calmly. "Your arrogance will be your destruction. All ships prepare to." "Time's up." Stone made a cutting gesture. "Execute Alpha Strike." What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The human ships didn't behave like any military force the hegemony had encountered. Instead of forming defensive lines or attempting to flee, they scattered into seemingly chaotic patterns while simultaneously launching thousands of missiles. But these weren't ordinary missiles. They were smart weapons, equipped with AI that could adapt tactics in real time, coordinate with each other, and learn from the enemy's defensive patterns. As hegemony point defense systems destroyed the first wave, the second wave adjusted its approach. The third wave exploited the weaknesses the second wave had identified. Impossible! Vraxis breathed as his shields flared under the assault. They're learning during the battle. Then the mass drivers opened fire. Human ships carried kinetic weapons that accelerated tungsten rods to a fraction of light speed. They were primitive compared to plasma cannons, but they were also nearly impossible to stop. Energy shields, designed to deflect charged particles and coherent light, were far less effective against solid matter traveling at relativistic speeds. A hegemony cruiser simply came apart as 3 tungsten rods punched through its length, the kinetic energy turning the ship into an expanding cloud of debris. "Return fire!" Vraxis roared. "Destroy them!" The hegemony fleet unleashed its plasma cannons, and space lit up with deadly beauty. Several human ships took direct hits, their armor glowing white-hot under the assault. But the human vessels kept moving, kept firing, kept adapting. "Sir, they're using the debris field from destroyed ships as cover," Vraxis's tactical officer reported with disbelief. "They're calculating trajectories through the wreckage to mask their approach vectors." Stone watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Decades of preparation had gone into this moment. While the Council had assumed humanity was primitive, human scientists had been working in secret, developing technologies the aliens had never considered. They couldn't match the Council's energy weapons or shield technology. Not yet. But they didn't need to. They had something better. Experience in warfare that stretched back thousands of years, combined with cutting-edge computing and a willingness to fight dirty. "Target their flagship," Stone ordered. "All railguns, coordinated strike. Let's see how well those shields hold against kinetic bombardment." 20 human ships aligned their mass drivers and fired simultaneously. 20 tungsten rods streaked toward the Eternal Dominion. Vraxis watched death approach at 50,000 kilometers per second. His shields held. Barely. But the Eternal Dominion was tumbling now, its power systems overloaded from absorbing the impact. "Withdraw!" Vraxis screamed. "All ships withdraw!" The hegemony Third Enforcement Fleet retreated in disarray, leaving behind 15 destroyed ships and their shattered confidence. News of the hegemony's defeat spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The impossible had happened. Primitive humans had driven back a Council enforcement fleet. The High Council convened in emergency session, the crystalline chamber crackling with tension and disbelief. "Explain to me," Zell then said with dangerous calm, "how 15 hegemony warships were destroyed by a species that supposedly uses chemical propulsion and binary computers." Counselor Vraxis stood before the assembled delegates. His scales dulled with shame. "They were not what we expected. Their tactics were sophisticated. Their weapons, while primitive in design, were employed with devastating effectiveness. They fought like what?" demanded Kelvosh of the Luminari Collective, her energy form flickering with agitation. "Like they've been preparing for this exact scenario for decades," Vraxis admitted. "Our intelligence was completely wrong. While we watched them through surveillance satellites and monitored their public communications, they were building an entire military infrastructure in the dark regions of their system. They hid construction facilities in asteroid fields, used the magnetic interference of their gas giants to mask energy signatures, and apparently developed technologies we didn't think they were capable of creating." "Impossible," said Thurn, a collective mind delegate whose 12 bodies spoke in perfect unison. "Our surveillance is comprehensive. We would have detected. We detected what they wanted us to detect," interrupted Admiral Krell 9 of the Kronar Defense Force, the massive rock being's voice rumbling through the chamber floor. "I've reviewed the battle recordings. These humans employed counter-surveillance techniques, electronic warfare, and information control at levels that suggest they've been planning this rebellion for years. Perhaps since the day we first rejected their application." A long silence fell over the chamber. "That would mean," Kelvosh said slowly, "that Ambassador Chunwei's diplomatic efforts were merely theater, a distraction while their military prepared." "That's exactly what it means," confirmed a new voice. All eyes turned to strategist Vinkar, a being from the Twilight Syndicate who served as the Council's chief military analyst. The shadowy figure rarely attended council sessions in person, preferring to observe from the edges of perception. His presence now signaled the severity of the situation. "I have analyzed human historical records," Vinkar continued, its voice seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Humans have a concept they call unconventional warfare. While you debated their worthiness, they studied you. While you dismissed them as primitive, they identified your weaknesses. While you grew complacent with 10,000 years of galactic dominance, they spent every moment preparing for war." "Preposterous," Zell then said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "They are one species on one planet. We are thousands of species across millions of worlds. Even if they have some tricks, they cannot possibly threaten the Council's power." "Can't they?" Vinkar gestured, and holographic displays filled the chamber, showing data streams from across the galaxy. "In the 3 days since the Battle of Jupiter, 17 other species have begun questioning Council authority. The Outer Rim colonies are demanding greater autonomy. The merchant guilds are protesting the trade restrictions we've imposed. Humanity's defiance has inspired ideas, dangerous ideas about sovereignty and self-determination." Vraxis's eyes widened. "You're saying other species might follow humanity's example?" "I'm saying the humans have done in one battle what no enemy has managed in millennia. They've made us look weak. They've proven that the Council can be defied, that quarantine can be broken, that our enforcement fleets can be defeated." Vinkar's shadowy form seemed to grow larger, more menacing. "They've shattered the illusion of invincibility that keeps order in the galaxy. Then we crush them," Kelvash declared, her energy form burning brighter. "We send not one fleet but 10, 100. We reduce their planet to ash and make an example that will echo for 10,000 more years." "No!" The word came from an unexpected source. Elder Morith of the Ancients, a species so old they remembered the formation of the Council itself, had spoken. The wizened being rarely participated in debates, content to observe from the highest tier of the chamber. Now all eyes turned upward. "We do not make humans into martyrs," Morith said, its ancient voice creaking like dying stars. "That would only make this situation worse. Other species would see our brutality and fear it, or worse, resist it." "Then what do you propose?" Zell then asked. "We negotiate." "Negotiate," Vraxis nearly shouted. "With primitives who attacked Council ships?" "We negotiate," Morith repeated firmly, "because we must understand what we're truly facing. Send an envoy, not a military force, a diplomatic one. Speak with these humans. Learn what they want. Assess their true capabilities," the ancient being paused, "and decide whether they are enemies or whether we made a grave mistake in rejecting them." "You cannot be serious," Zell then protested. "I am completely serious. The galaxy is changing, High Arbiter. The question is whether we change with it or cling to old ways until they destroy us." The vote was called. By a narrow margin, the Council agreed to send a diplomatic envoy to Earth. They chose Ambassador Lyra of the Twilight Syndicate, a being known for its perception and cunning. She would arrive at Earth in 1 week. What she would discover there would change everything. Ambassador Lyra's ship approached Earth with caution, surrounded by a small escort fleet flying under diplomatic immunity. The sleek vessels moved through the inner solar system, passing Mars with its new human colonies, and the asteroid belt with its hidden shipyards now revealed in all their industrial glory. As they approached Earth, Lyra stood at the observation window, her form shifting through various wavelengths as she processed what she saw. "This is impossible," she whispered. Her aide, a young hegemony attaché named SYXIL, consulted his datapad. "The planet matches our records, Ambassador. Single large moon, 70% water coverage, nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere." "I'm not talking about the planet itself," Lyra interrupted. "Look at the infrastructure. Orbital stations ring the planet like a pearl necklace, hundreds of them, from small research outposts to massive military installations. Solar arrays stretched for kilometers, capturing the sun's energy. Ship construction facilities hung in space, their frameworks containing vessels in various stages of completion. According to our intelligence, humanity should have perhaps 24 orbital structures, SYXIL said, his scales paling as he recounted them. I see hundreds. How did we miss this? Because we weren't looking, Lyra said softly. We assumed we knew what humans were capable of, so we only saw what we expected to see. A transmission interrupted her thoughts. Admiral Stone's face appeared on the communication screen, his expression professional but not hostile. Ambassador Lyra, welcome to Earth's sovereign space. We've prepared a shuttle to bring you to the surface for negotiations. You and 2 aides will be permitted to attend. Your escort fleet will maintain position in lunar orbit. Acceptable, Lyra replied. I look forward to our discussions. 2 hours later, Lyra stood in a conference room deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in what humans called the Strategic Command Center. The room was surprisingly plain, no holographic displays or quantum processors, just screens and computers that seemed decades behind Council technology. Yet when Admiral Stone and Ambassador Chun entered, accompanied by President Sarah Okonkwo and several military advisors, Lyra sensed she was facing something far more sophisticated than the technology suggested. Thank you for agreeing to meet, President Okonkwo began. She was a woman in her 60s, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. I understand the Council sent you to assess whether we're a threat. Among other things, Lyra admitted, her form shifting to one that humans would find non-threatening. The Council is confused by recent events. Confused that we can fight back? Chun asked with a slight smile. Confused that you had the capability to fight back and we never detected it. Our surveillance should have. Your surveillance saw exactly what we wanted it to see, Stone interrupted. Every public communication, every orbital facility you were allowed to observe, every piece of technology we demonstrated during our Council applications. All of it was carefully designed to make you underestimate us. Lyra felt something like respect stir within her. That level of operational security, maintained across an entire species for decades. It shouldn't be possible. We had motivation, President Okonkwo said quietly. You rejected us, quarantined us, treated us like children who needed to be contained. You gave us 2 choices. Accept our cage or break free. We chose freedom. By building a secret military fleet? By building a future where we control our own destiny. Chun pulled up a holographic display. Not primitive at all, Lyra noted, showing star charts. The galaxy is vast, Ambassador. Millions of habitable worlds. Billions of resources. And the Council keeps it all locked down, distributed according to your rules, your politics, your decisions about who deserves what. The Council maintains order, Lyra countered. Without it, there would be chaos. War. Destruction. The Council maintains control, Stone corrected. There's a difference. And we're not interested in joining a system where ancient species dictate terms to everyone else based on arbitrary judgments about worthiness. Then what do you want? The question hung in the air. President Okonkwo leaned forward, and Lyra saw something in her eyes that made her uncomfortable. Not anger or fear, but certainty. We want recognition as a sovereign power. We want the right to travel freely through space. We want to trade with whoever we choose. We want to establish colonies on unclaimed worlds. And we want the Council to understand that if you try to stop us, there will be consequences. You're threatening the Council? We're establishing boundaries, Chun clarified. Humanity isn't asking for permission anymore. We're informing you of facts. We will expand into space. We will build our civilization. We will defend ourselves against anyone who tries to stop us, including the Council. The Council has millions of ships, Lyra said. Thousands of worlds. Resources beyond counting. You have 1 planet and 300 ships. How can you possibly think you can stand against us? Stone smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Would you like to see what else we've built? Before Lyra could respond, the lights dimmed and a massive holographic display materialized in the center of the room. What she saw made her form flicker with shock. Ship designs. Hundreds of them. Not the vessels that had fought at Jupiter, but new classes, carriers, dreadnoughts, stealth ships, vessels that seemed to bend space itself. And blueprints for weapons that made her consciousness recoil in horror. "You've been preparing for total war," she whispered. "We've been preparing for survival," Okonkwo corrected. "The galaxy taught us that power is the only language that matters. So we learned to speak it fluently." Part 6. The breaking point, 800 words. Lyra's report to the High Council was received in shocked silence. "They have weapons that could threaten entire fleets," she said, her form flickering with agitation as she replayed recordings of what humanity had shown her. Kinetic kill vehicles that can approach relativistic speeds. AI-controlled drone swarms that learn and adapt in real time. Electronic warfare capabilities that could blind our sensors across entire star systems. And something they call planet crackers, weapons designed to shatter worlds. "Impossible," Zell then said, but the words sounded hollow. "Such weapons would require centuries of development. Resources we know they don't have, technology far beyond." "They stole it," Vinkar interrupted, the shadowy strategist materializing in the center of the chamber. "Not all of it, but enough. While we monitored their public networks, human hackers were infiltrating our databases, stealing technical specifications, reverse engineering our technology. They combined our knowledge with their own innovations to create something new. Then we were betrayed from within," Vraxis growled. "Someone on the council must have helped them." "No," Vinkar said. "We betrayed ourselves through arrogance. We gave them access to our public networks for their diplomatic applications. We thought our security was impenetrable. We were wrong." Admiral Krell-9's massive form shifted, causing minor earthquakes in the chamber. "The question now is simple. Do we destroy Earth before they become a true threat, or do we accept them as equals?" "Equals." Kelvash's energy form burned bright with indignation. "They are one species, one planet. How can we possibly? Because they've proven they can hurt us?" Elder Morith interrupted, the ancient being's voice cutting through the chaos. "And because if we attack them now, we may win, but at what cost? They've positioned weapons throughout their system that could destroy any fleet we send. More importantly, other species are watching. If we crush humanity, we prove we're tyrants. If we negotiate, we prove we're just." "Justice has nothing to do with this," Zell then said coldly. "This is about power and control." "Then perhaps that's the problem," Morith replied. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a vote was called. The council would send one final ultimatum. Humanity would disarm its fleet and accept council oversight, or face the full might of galactic civilization. 3 battle groups were assembled, over 1,000 ships representing 15 different species. They gathered at the edge of Earth's solar system like a storm about to break. Fleet Commander Zarthal of the Kronar Defense Force commanded the armada from his flagship. The massive being reviewed the tactical displays with growing unease. The human fleet had deployed in defensive positions throughout the system, using the planets and asteroid belts for cover. "They can't win this," his tactical officer said. "We outnumber them 3-1. "That's what Vraxis thought," Zarthal rumbled. "Look at their formations. They're not planning to meet us in open battle. They're going to make us fight for every kilometer." On Earth, in the Strategic Command Center, Admiral Stone watched the Council fleet with grim determination. Around him, his staff worked with practiced efficiency, coordinating with ships scattered throughout the solar system. "They're moving into the outer system," his tactical officer reported. "Estimate contact in 6 hours. Execute Protocol Prometheus, Phase 2, Stone ordered. Across the solar system, hidden installations activated. What the Council fleet didn't know was that, for the past year, humanity had been constructing not just ships but a comprehensive defensive network. Autonomous weapons platforms hidden in asteroid belts. Missile swarms disguised as space debris. Electronic warfare stations that could blind sensors and disrupt communications. And something else. Something humanity had kept completely secret until this moment. "Sir, the Artemis array is charged and ready," a young lieutenant reported. Stone exchanged glances with Chun Wei, who had again insisted on being present. She nodded slowly. "If we do this, there's no going back," she said quietly. "There was no going back the moment we decided to be free," Stone replied. He opened a channel to the Council fleet. "Fleet Commander Zarthal, this is Admiral Stone. I'm sending you coordinates for a demonstration. I suggest you watch carefully." "Demonstration of what?" Zarthal demanded. "Of what happens if you continue into our system." On the dark side of Earth's moon, a massive installation powered up. The Artemis array had taken 10 years to build, consuming resources that officially didn't exist and incorporating technology that humanity wasn't supposed to have. It was, in essence, a directed energy weapon of unprecedented scale, a network of focused particle beams that could concentrate enough power to ignite a small star, or destroy one. "Target locked," the weapons officer said. "Proxima Centauri, uninhabited system, as ordered." Fire. Light lanced across space, invisible to the naked eye but blazing across every sensor screen in the Council fleet. The beam traveled at light speed, taking years to reach its destination. But that wasn't the point. The point was the power reading. Zarthal watched his displays with mounting horror as his sensors calculated the energy output. The beam would, when it arrived, cause a stellar flare that would sterilize every planet in the Proxima Centauri system. "They have stellar-scale weapons," he whispered. "They can kill stars." Stone's voice came through clear and cold. "We can. And if you force us to, we will use them. Not against your ships, against your homeworlds. We will burn the skies above your planets until you understand that humanity will not be caged." "You would commit genocide?" "Would we?" Stone asked. "Or would you, by forcing us to defend ourselves? The choice is yours, Commander. Turn back or discover what desperate humans are capable of." Zarthal looked at the tactical displays, at the 1,000 ships under his command, at the power of galactic civilization arrayed against one small blue planet. Then he looked at the energy readings from the Artemis array. "All ships," he said heavily. The emergency council session lasted 3 days. Reports came from every corner of the galaxy. Other species demanding autonomy, colonies declaring independence, the entire structure of galactic governance teetering on the edge of collapse. "This is humanity's fault," Zelden declared, though his voice lacked its usual certainty. "They've destabilized everything." "No," Elder Morith said, rising from its seat for the first time in living memory. "Humanity exposed what was already broken. We've ruled through fear and control for so long we forgot that true order comes from consent, not coercion. You cannot seriously suggest we capitulate to their demands," Vraxis protested. "I suggest we accept reality," Morith replied. "Humanity has proven they have the capability to fight, the will to resist, and the intelligence to outthink us. We can continue this conflict and watch the galaxy tear itself apart, or we can adapt." Vincar's shadowy form expanded, filling the chamber with its presence. "I have analyzed 17,000 tactical scenarios. In every simulation where we attempt to forcibly suppress humanity, the outcome is the same: galactic civil war. Other species rally to their cause, seeing them as freedom fighters. The council fractures. Chaos spreads. Within a decade, organized galactic civilization collapses. "And if we negotiate?" Kelvash asked, her energy form dimming with resignation. "Then we have a chance at a new order. One where humanity joins the council not as conquered subjects but as partners. Where their innovations strengthen us rather than destroy us. Where we prove that the council can evolve." The vote was called. After 10,000 years of unchanging policy, the Galactic Council voted to offer humanity full membership with equal status. The announcement was scheduled for neutral ground, a space station at the galactic crossroads where all species could observe. Ambassador Chun Wei walked into the Grand Hall, no longer alone. Behind her came Admiral Stone, President Okonkwo, and representatives from every nation on Earth. They wore their formal attire, but beneath the diplomatic facade was steel. Zelden stood at the center of the council assembly, his mandibles clicking slowly as he began the formal speech. The Galactic Council has reviewed humanity's petition for membership. After careful consideration and recent events, we have decided to extend full council membership to Earth and its territories. Chen didn't smile. With conditions? A pause. The entire galaxy watched and waited. Without conditions, Zell then said, and the words seemed to pain him. You will have the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as any council species. Your sovereignty is recognized. Your right to expand into unclaimed space is acknowledged. Your defensive fleet is accepted. And reparations? Chen asked calmly. Reparations? Vraxis nearly roared. You attacked our ships. After you invaded our system, Chen replied evenly. After you attempted to enforce an illegal quarantine that violated our fundamental rights. After decades of treating us as lesser beings. Humanity wants three things: formal apology, compensation for the development opportunities we lost during the quarantine, and assurance that no species will ever be subjected to such treatment again. The council chamber erupted in protest. But Elder Morith raised one ancient appendage and silence fell. The human demands are reasonable, the elder said. We wronged them. We must acknowledge that wrong. I propose we grant all three requests and establish new protocols for evaluating species seeking council membership. Protocols that emphasize rights rather than restrictions. The vote was closer than it should have been, but it passed. As the formal ceremonies concluded, Lyra approached Chen privately. The Twilight Syndicate ambassador had watched the entire proceeding with fascination. You planned this from the beginning, didn't you? Lyra said. Every step. The diplomatic applications you knew would be rejected. The secret buildup. The first battle. The demonstration of overwhelming force. You orchestrated it all. Chen smiled slightly. Humanity learned long ago that sometimes you have to fight for a seat at the table. And once you're at the table, you negotiate from strength, not weakness. You terrify me, Lyra admitted. Your species thinks like predators, like conquerors. We think like survivors, Chen corrected. There's a difference. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just refuse to be ruled by anyone else. And the weapons? The Artemis array that can kill stars, will remain, just as the Council keeps its fleets. Mutual deterrence. Trust, but verify. Chen's expression softened slightly. We don't hate you, Ambassador. We just needed you to respect us. 6 months later, humanity's first trade convoy left Earth, carrying goods to 17 different worlds. Human scientists began collaborating with alien researchers on projects that would have been impossible alone. Human artists shared their culture with species who had never imagined such creativity. And in the shipyards hidden throughout the solar system, construction continued. New vessels, new technologies, new innovations that would ensure humanity never again faced extinction or subjugation. Admiral Stone stood on the observation deck of the new orbital station above Earth, watching cargo ships and military vessels move in graceful patterns against the backdrop of stars. Do you think it will last? Ambassador Chen asked, joining him. The peace? Probably not forever, Stone admitted. The galaxy is too big, too complex. There will be conflicts, challenges, maybe even wars. But we'll face them as equals now, not as victims or suppliants. As a species that proved we belong among the stars. He glanced at her. You know what the other species are calling us? I've heard several names. Most aren't flattering. Stone smiled. The Luminari call us the Unbroken Ones. The Kronar call us Stone-Willed. Even the Hegemony has grudgingly named us the Ascending. They all mean the same thing. We're the species that refuse to accept limits. And what do we call ourselves? Human. That's enough. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, beings looked up at the stars and whispered about the strange species from the small blue planet. The ones who had been rejected, isolated, and dismissed, yet who had forced the ancient powers to recognize them as equals. Some species saw humanity as inspiration. Others saw them as a threat. Most saw them as something unprecedented, a reminder that the galaxy was still capable of surprises, that the old order could be challenged, that evolution didn't stop with technology. The universe had closed its doors on humanity, assuming they would accept their cage and their place among the lesser species. Instead, humanity had opened their own doors, built their own path, and claimed their own destiny. And as Earth's ships spread across the stars, as human colonies took root on distant worlds, as humanity's influence grew with each passing year, the galaxy learned a simple truth. Never underestimate a species that has survived ice ages and plagues, wars and disasters, extinction events and their own worst impulses. Never dismiss beings who dream of touching the stars and refuse to let anyone tell them they can't. Never cage humanity, because humans don't break. They don't bow. They don't quit. They adapt. They overcome. They endure.